Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the webinar on how to set up and use multi-currency. So what we're going to be doing, sorry, I'm just trying to close these windows quick. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking you through the setup of multi-currency, and then we're going to show you how it works. So when you purchase the multi-currency add-on module, you're going to receive an invoice. Within that invoice, they're going to give you a serial number. You will then need to register that serial number. So you'll have to re-register your software. And then if you look under your add-on modules, you should see the multi-currency option. As long as you can see that option, then you will have the ability to use multi-currency. So it's very important that it does show under your modules and that you have re-registered. Then you will go to Setup. And please make sure that you do have sole access mode. Sole access mode means that you are the only user trying to access the setup and that you don't have any other windows open. So you're the only person in the company with nothing else open. You will go to your company parameters and you will see in your company parameters that you have a multi-currency tab. This is where you will need to select the option to use multi-currency and where you're going to need to set up your currencies that you want to use. For example, dollar. You will then need a revaluation account. This is the account that you will need to use when you do your profit and loss on your currency. So hopefully there should be one here. Loss and sales of non-current assets. So here you've got your profit and loss on foreign currency or foreign exchange. And this would be a expense. And this will be your revaluation account. So either you're going to have a profit when the exchange rate drops, or you're going to have a loss when it improves, depending obviously on whether the foreign currency is stronger than the rand. You will then set your variance. Now, guys, if you set your variance to 0.00, this means that there can't be a variance in when you purchase or make a sale to when you receive the money. That's probably not going to happen. Unless a person pays you on the exact same day, what you're probably going to find is that there's going to be quite a huge variance because of how unstable currencies are. We would advise that you actually put it at 99.99. You can't put 100%, but this is the closest to 100% you can get. This means that should, for example, when you sell an item, it is $100, and the exchange rate is 13 Rand. But when the person pays for it, they pay the $100, but the exchange rate is now 14 Rand 50. It's not going to tell you that have a variance. So guys, that's why your variance is important. Your 1000 decimal separator is a comma. How many decimal digits do you want? And if you wish, you can put in your symbol. So sorry about this, guys. So here you will fill in. So again, you can do pound, for example, and you will then fill in the same options. So this is setting it up. Once you have done creating your currencies, you will then click on OK. And then you need to go and set up your exchange rates. It is very important that your exchange rates are set up correctly. Although you can change the variance now, you also do need to ensure that you have set up your exchange rates correctly, because if you haven't, we know that the dollar is not $1 to 1 Rand. Now, guys, the two options here are very important. The first option advises that in this and processing screens, you enter the foreign currency value equivalent to R1 in your currency. The bottom one is that you enter the currency value equivalent to R1 in the foreign currency. So if you select the first one, you will enter the foreign currency that equals R1 in your currency. Now, this is if your currency is stronger. So if you go, it's $13 to R1. We know that that's wrong. So you would enter the bottom for the dollar because the dollar is stronger than the rand. So you need to enter the currency value equivalent to 1 in the foreign currency. For example, and sorry guys, I don't know what the exchange rate is at the moment, so please excuse me. But here we can go, okay, it's 13 Rand to $1. Pardon me. And you need to do that for all of the periods. So you can just go ahead and you can enter them. You can do them for last year as well, as there are certain functions that you can process for last year. So you might want to do journals, etc. But here's where you will enter what the rate basically is. Obviously, when you're processing, you will use the spot rate. You will go and check and you will go, actually, it's 13 Rand and 25 cents, or it is 15 Rand 75, for example. The top option you use if you have selected a foreign currency that is weaker than the Rand. So guys, here you will see this is now changed automatically to 0.0769.23. To have worked that out would have been really difficult. That's why we have the bottom option, which is just much easier. So often you'll find that where a lot of errors happen is right here, where people don't understand the difference between the two options. And more often than not, people enter, but they don't even read these options. So they leave it in the first one. Here they're entering 13. They come to their revaluation and suddenly they're like, how do I have $120, $20,000, but only, 5,000 Rand? This doesn't make sense. And it's because you've selected the wrong button. You've selected the wrong radio button. So guys, this is critical that you do select if foreign currency stronger than Rand, bottom. If Rand stronger than foreign currency, top. Once you've set up all of your currencies, you would then click on OK. Now guys, bearing in mind that when you run your revaluation, this is in fact the rate that is used. While it does allow you to change the rate here, it uses this exchange rate when you run your revaluation, irrespective of what rate you used when selling or purchasing the item and what rate was used when making payments or receiving payments. So the exchange rate section is very important. Once you've set up that part, you then need to go to your customers and your suppliers, depending on where the foreign currency comes in. You would go to your processing, and this is where you can select your currency. Now, all of my customers have never had any transactions at all, so it is available to me. If you see that the code is grayed out, this means that you've already processed to this customer. They have transactional history. If you need to convert them to a foreign currency customer or supplier, this is where you would block the account, or you would create a new account, transfer the amount, and block it. And when you create the new account, you will select the correct currency. So here you select your currencies. Great. You do the same with your suppliers. So you also just go to processing and you'll change your currency. Now guys, you can also set up foreign currency cash books. Now how you do that is you need sole access mode and you go to setup entry types. This is if, for example, you have a cash book and you've never transacted in it at all. Okay, sorry about that. I was pretty sure that I'd closed all my screens. Okay, sorry guys, it's gone and done something a little bit strange. Give me a sec. Unfortunately, it thinks that it's gone in and it hasn't, so I'm just going to have to close my Sage Pastel. But again, guys, if you're going to go to your entry types, this means that you've never used this cash book, that there are no transactions that you've processed in this cash book. If you have transactions for this cash book, again, you're not going to be able to then change the entry type. So here you'll see it says home currency, so we can look, okay, this is my home currency one, and then I'm going to change this, to example, to dollars or pounds, and I can go okay. Now we're ready to start processing. So we can go to our suppliers, for example. So we need to do a good received note, doesn't matter. And you will notice that you now have an exchange rates option. So let's go and select our foreign supplier. And you'll see immediately the exchange rate option is filled in with the exchange rate that we entered. Now, I would go and check, okay, what is the exchange rate from Rand to dollar? It's 15 Rand. Sorry about that. Okay. Okay, so 15 Rand 25. And we can enter our items that, for example, we're purchasing. So here we're entering the dollar value. So we're buying 20 of these. So guys, you'll see that it's working out the dollars. So here you will enter the dollar value. You're not obviously going to enter the Rand value. It is picking up that this is the exchange rate, and it will convert it accordingly. And then say next document. Let's link it to a supplier invoice so that we can go and make that payment. So this is why the variation that I set up initially was really important, because that said 13. If I had left that at 0.00, I wouldn't have been able to change it. Or if I had said like 0.5, I would have been able to change it to like 13.001. That's why you put the variance at 99.99. I can now change it accordingly. Now, possibly it was wrong on the goods received note. I could change it again and it would correct my values. If I'm happy, I can then update my back. Sorry about that. Now we've updated. Now, when we pay that supplier, we can go to our cash book and we can choose to use our foreign account, for example. We would then select our supplier. And where it goes home amount, you'll see that if you put the Rand, or if you put the dollar value in home amount, it works out the bank amount. So it is better in this case to understand home amount is your home currency. So here you have your $69. It will work out the home value. And here you can see that it's using the exchange rate as per the exchange rates that we set up. This may have changed from when you process the invoice to when you make payments. So let's say that it's actually improved. since then. This would now be a loss on the exchange rate. You would then match accordingly. You can see that the values are the same and you can close. This is where your variance is going to come in. If we update this and we had to now go and view that supplier and their detailed ledger. This is where, for example, you will see the value and you'll see that you now have a variance. So it's going to give you a value. If you had to rerun this report and you had to view it in your foreign currency, you will see that it's actually 0. Now that is because of the exchange rate. You have a variance. And that is why you need to run the revaluation. It is to actually ensure that your rand value or your home currency value actually corresponds with the foreign currency value. So this should be 0, and the value that is outstanding here, the credit, should be written to your profit and loss. So in this instance, you made a small profit. So in order to run that, you would go to Process, Foreign Currency Revaluation. Now, guys, the foreign currency revaluation is actually really important. Many clients actually don't run this at all. We've had clients phone in after year end going, okay, I've got multi-currency and now their values. I've run the revaluation, nothing's happening, nothing's going to happen because you have the revaluation only runs in the current year. In all honesty, you should actually be running your revaluation at the least once a month, if not once a week. Because with the revaluation, as advised, you can revalue everything or one or the other. But when you're revaluing, you do go and edit your exchange rates. So you're going to look at which period you are revaluing this for example. So you going, okay, I'm doing this for period 8. You will then go to period 8 and you are going to put in the exchange rate for that date. It's going to revalue based on that exchange rate. It is not going to look at the difference between this is what you purchased, this is what it's sold at, and there's a difference there. Unfortunately, it doesn't do that. It looks at this is the value in home currency, this is the exchange rate, this is what I have to move. Okay, great, we balance. And in the back end, it does all of those balancing transactions. So here, for example, you'll put your 1475. Let's say we do it on the same day as we make the payments. And this is why this is kind of important to run fairly regularly to get an accurate results. You need to enter a starting reference. Reval 2510. So I know that I did a revaluation on the 25th of October. Supplier, banks and customers, banks and suppliers, customers. Correct. This will then print to the printer that you select. I just want to select PDF so that I can show you how the report looks. For this account, there is absolutely nothing that needs to happen. So my bank is fine. Great. If that was a problem, I need to go back and look. For my supplier, oh, here I can see that there is a difference. This is the balance, this is the variance, great. It's going to sort that out for me. And it would do likewise if we had customers. So that's how it all works. If you have customers, you'll see that it's showing both. One is for the dollars, one is for the pounds. So you would run the revaluation multiple times. But you want to see the difference. You want to make sure that it's correct. Once you've checked your report and you're happy with it, you would then go next, and it's going to advise you that this is what you have selected. You've told it to revalue everything from this period, the whole of October, and any transactions it's found where there are variances, it's going to correct those and post it to your profit or loss. You'll then click on process, and it will tell you how many adjustments were made. And again, guys, you have to run it in the current year. If you do your year end and you suddenly pick up that the home value and the foreign value differ, you're going to have a problem. Click on finish. Your amounts. If we had to go look at our suppliers now, they will show 0 in both home and foreign currency. So it's sorted there. How to set up and how to process with your multi-currency specific reports, and all reports you can view in foreign currency, but what you have your home page analysis, and I feel should be etc. Guys, if you worried about a home currency customer that's now showing a foreign value and you're saying it's wrong, but they're actually processing in home currency, you shouldn't be viewing them in foreign currency. What it does to accounts that are in home currency is it just takes the exchange rate and at times whatever the balance is. So you might find that there are discrepancies in certain things. Only your accounts that you have actually set up to use the foreign value should be viewed in foreign currency. So you shouldn't be viewing your general ledgers. For example, by that I mean view general ledger transactions and a detailed ledger in foreign currency unless it is your foreign currency cash book account. So a lot of people think, oh great, I can now view stuff in this, and then they get confused why the figures show inaccurate values, and that's because, well, your sales account is actually completely written in home currency. All it's doing is going, this is the balance, there's 1,000 Rand that in your sales account, so 1,000 times 30, there's $13,000, and you're going, but it's wrong. Yeah, it's going to be wrong because you're not meant to view it in foreign currency. It's just something that we have picked up before with the foreign currency. So guys, I'm going to now look at all of the questions, and if you have any further questions, please ask me now. Okay, so guys, I've got a question here. Is there a way you can capture the dollar value for items and invoice in rands? So hang on, you want your items on your edit inventory to show dollar amounts versus rands, or are you saying is there any way that you can bring in the items from the supplier as dollars, but then you sell the items as rands? I just want to make sure that I'm understanding the question. For one of the scenarios, the answer is yes. For the other one, no. So that's why I'm just like, which scenario, if you can just advise me in the chat, which scenario you're referring to. And then there might be other things that we need to consider. So guys, bearing in mind that I've used specifically a rand dollar company, so I've said that my home currency is rands. That doesn't need to be the case. You can, for example, process a company completely as a dollar value. Your home currency can be dollars. You can choose that, and then your multi-currency, you would have rands as one of your currencies. So if your company mostly deals in dollars, that would be your home currency, if that makes sense. And then you would put rands and all the other currencies as foreign currencies and set up your customers and suppliers accordingly. Unfortunately for your inventory is based on the home currency. So you can't go to, for example, to edit inventory item file and go, oh, okay, well, I want this to be dollars, but I'm going to make the invoice rands. It doesn't work that way. Your prices here are the home value. So if you put this in, this sees it as home value. Your customer or your supplier dictates if it's a foreign customer or supplier, and that will then change the currency that the invoice is processed in. So I don't know if that explains or if that answers your question. Look, there is a way that you can customize the invoice so that it can show, so it will, the whole invoice will be calculated in dollars, but you can add a field to show home value on the invoice. So you would add that in the total field. I think that might be what you're looking for. So guys, the answer was we would like to show the items in dollar price, but show the invoice total in rands. So that is a stipulation on certain invoices. And for that, you would need to go to your forms designer. And in your forms designer, you would actually need to customize your form. So for example, here you would open customer supplier documents, single plain paper.eng, or you can get one of the BPs to assist you. So that is the form that it depends on your paper style and what you want to customize. You may have already customized one, in which case it would be an ENZ form, and you can watch the webinar on Forms Designer to learn more about the specific process. But in here, on the right-hand side, what you are looking for is, if I'm not mistaken, total amount in home currency. So here you would take this total invoice amount home currency or total invoice amount displayed in home currency. So it's one of these ones. And you and in this way you can still process in dollars, but it will then display your total invoice amount in rands. So I hope that I've understood that correct. That is quite a common question. And yes, you can still have everything set up correctly and have your invoice show the home currency value. So I hope that that answers your question. You would obviously then save this form and go and check that it is doing what you want. But on Sage City, where you signed up for this webinar, there is actually a webinar on Forms Designer and how it works. It doesn't specifically show how to do this, which is why I showed you here, but it will show you the rest of it, how to save, what form names are, that type of thing, and where you can find them. Guys, do you have any other questions with regards to the foreign currency module or multi-currency module, anything that you'd like to ask? Okay, so guys, if there are no further questions, that is it for this webinar. Guys, what we're going to be doing is for the next while, unfortunately, there are not going to be any live webinars. We're going to be doing recording webinars, and we're going to upload them accordingly, and we're going to put them onto the newsletter for you. We are just trying out a couple of things, and we're in a transition stage. So if you would like live webinars to continue, please feel free to let us know. But what we're finding is that a lot of people are actually signing up for the webinars to watch the recording later. And a lot of people just can't get away. They can't give half an hour or an hour of their day to come to a live webinar. So we're looking if we actually record them, if that's not better for you. But we would also like your input if you would prefer the live webinars. Other than that, thank you so much for joining me. Please look out for the future recorded webinars, and I hope that you have a wonderful weekend, guys. If there are no further questions from you, you are welcome to log out. I will be available for the next little while. If you would like to ask me about something other than multi-currency, I'm happy to try to oblige. Thanks so much, guys. Ciao, ciao for now. Have a wonderful weekend.